How many times have you chased something with all your strength, did everything to achieve it, but it seemed that the more you tried, the more distant it became, as if life was playing with you, giving you hope, and then pulling the rug out from under you? The truth is that you don't need to chase anything. What is truly yours will find you. It may seem hard to believe this now, but think about how many good things have come into your life when you simply stopped forcing it and let it happen. Stoicism teaches that true strength is not in desperately chasing, but in trusting. Stay calm and know your worth. When you align yourself with your essence and stop acting with fear and anxiety, you will begin to naturally attract everything that deserves success, opportunities, and true connections. In this video, I will show you how to change this mindset and stop chasing to start attracting through 11 reflections. And you know what? The best of all, what is yours is already coming your way. All you need to do is learn to relax and let it flow. Stay with me until the end, and you will learn how to turn this game around once and for all. Let's start. Reflecting 1. The secret power of the mind. The mind is far more powerful than you might imagine. Many of us, caught up in the rush of everyday life, overlook the significant influence it has on our existence. But did you know that your mind can be the key to transforming your reality? It is the epicenter of your power. Every thought, belief, and emotion originates from within you. Everything you think can shape your experiences. Imagine controlling your thoughts instead of being controlled by them. Imagine if, instead of allowing fear or doubt to dominate, you focused on what is possible and within your reach. This isn't just a mental exercise, it's a way of life, a method to harness this secret power that we all possess, yet few know how to activate. When properly trained, the mind can perform unimaginable feats. It can transform obstacles into challenges, difficulties into lessons, and failures into opportunities. This insight is something that great leaders, philosophers, and even the wise men of antiquity understood well. The mind is your battlefield, and winning there means winning in the real world. However, you must be cautious. The mind can be your most powerful ally or your greatest enemy, depending on how you use this strength. If you succumb to negative emotions or uncertainties, you'll merely feed the energy that blocks your potential. Conversely, if you consciously use your mind, you're leveraging an invisible force in your favor. Have you ever considered that the power you seek has been inside you all along? Sometimes we feel lost, as though we are being swept along by circumstances beyond our control. But what if I told you that true strength doesn't come from external events, but from how you choose to perceive them? We are not victims of what the world does to us. What defines us is how we respond. It may be hard to believe, especially when it feels like certain things are beyond our reach, as if we are trapped in a reality we cannot alter. But remember, everything starts in the mind, our ability to choose our reactions and, more importantly, what we decide to believe about ourselves. Consider this: your mind is like a blank canvas, ready to receive whatever images you decide to project onto it. Every thought you allow in paints a stroke on this canvas. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The mind becomes what it thinks about." So, why not start now? Instead of focusing on what's missing, why not focus on what's already within your reach? Instead of getting lost in difficulties, why not view them as opportunities for growth? I know it's not easy. Life demands a lot from us, but the strength you need to move forward isn't out there. It's inside you, waiting to be awakened. This awakening begins the moment you decide to take control of your thoughts, to view situations not as problems, but as challenges to be overcome, and to believe that you are indeed capable of creating the life you deserve. So, how about starting now? What will you choose to think? What will you allow to grow within you? True transformation begins the moment you decide that the power to change is in your hands and no one else's. Reflection 2. Flow, trust, and receive. Sometimes we attempt to control everything. Our minds create plans and strategies, expecting everything to proceed in a straight line without deviations. However, life is not so predictable. It's filled with ups and downs, surprises and twists. Yet, there is deep wisdom in simply flowing. Flowing does not mean giving up or letting everything happen without taking action. Rather, it's about learning to dance with life, moving with it without resistance, like a river that smoothly navigates around a stone in its path, never fighting against it, but adapting and continuing its course. This approach is not about avoiding obstacles, but about learning to navigate through them with the confidence that each turn has a purpose. Trust might seem like a simple word, but it encompasses great power. Trust is not just believing that things will work out, it's also trusting in yourself and your ability to face challenges that arise. More importantly, it's about trusting that life has a plan for you. You are not alone on this journey. The energy that moves the world knows what is best for you, even if you don't feel it in the moment. Trust is a form of surrender, not a surrender of weakness, but of strength. It's the strength of knowing that even when we lack control, there is something greater guiding each step. Seneca once said, "Life is long enough, and a sufficiently generous amount has been given to us for the highest achievements if we use it well." Now, the hardest part, and perhaps the most beautiful, is receiving. We are so accustomed to fighting, chasing, and thinking that we need to earn each achievement, that we often forget to simply open our arms and receive. Life is constantly offering us gifts, but are you open to receiving them? Are you allowing blessings to flow to you without erecting barriers or resistance? Receiving is more than a physical act. It is an emotional one, reminding us that we deserve what is good. Often we believe we need to do more to deserve the best, that we must achieve something great for life to reward us. However, life is already providing everything we need. The mere fact of being alive and breathing is a gift. Reflect on this. Are you flowing, or are you trying to force things to go your way? Do you trust, or do you feel the need to control every move? Are you ready to receive, or are you still caught up in the belief that you need to do more, be more, to deserve? Flow, trust, and receive is not just a mantra, it's a lifestyle. A life in which, instead of fighting against what comes, you learn to align yourself with what is rightfully yours. And when you do, you'll realize that what you sought so intensely has always been within your reach. It was just waiting for you to be ready to receive it. Reflection 3. How calm attracts success. Have you ever noticed how, in moments of calm, life seems to flow more smoothly, and answers begin to emerge more clearly, as if things fall into place on their own? In a world where we are constantly running from one task to another, trying to achieve more, do more, be more, we often overlook the simple power of calm. Curiously, it is in calmness that the key to success often lies. It seems contradictory, doesn't it? We are so used to believing that to achieve something, we need to be in constant motion, that success comes from the pressure of the hustle. But in truth, it is calm that creates space for opportunities to arise, for decisions to be made clearly, and for connecting with what really matters. When you are calm, your mind is free from scattered thoughts. It is not overwhelmed by stress or anxiety. Instead, it becomes a space of clarity. You see things with more perspective, more discernment, and most importantly, you become more aware of opportunities that would previously go unnoticed. When you act from a place of calm, your actions are more intentional, more aligned with what you really want, and not with external expectations. or the pressure of the moment. Seneca stated, "Nothing is more important than the tranquility of the mind. Even in the greatest turbulence, keep your mind calm." Now think for a moment. Have you often made impulsive decisions driven by haste or anxiety and then regretted them? Or perhaps stopped acting out of fear because anxiety paralyzed you? This happens to all of us, but when you manage to cultivate calm, you can look at situations without the weight of anxiety. You become capable of making more sensible decisions, acting wisely without letting yourself be consumed by pressure. Moreover, when you are calm, you transmit confidence. The people around you sense this energy. They realize that you are not in a hurry, that you know where you are going, and that you trust the process. This type of energy is magnetic. People are drawn to those who transmit serenity because calm is rare in today's world. When you exude this calm, you begin to attract opportunities, allies, and even the conditions conducive to success. Then success is not about being constantly in turbo mode, frantically chasing after goals. In fact, true success comes when you learn to act with calm and confidence, knowing that everything you need is already on its way. It is not about rushing, but about aligning yourself with the present moment, cultivating an internal harmony that permits things to arise in the right time. Sometimes the pressure makes us believe that we need to do everything immediately, that we must always be busy and on the move to ensure our success. But in reality, it is when you allow yourself to slow down and trust that everything falls into place and true transformation begins to happen. Success is not about constant motion. It is about being aligned with your purpose, with who you are, and with the circumstances unfolding naturally. Reflection 4. Gratitude and its power of manifestation. Gratitude is a word we often hear, but have you truly considered the power it wields? It's not merely a polite way to thank for what we've received. Gratitude is a transformative force, a portal that opens doors to an abundant flow of blessings in our lives. Imagine for a moment, the energy of the universe is always surrounding you, ready to align with you. All you need to do is send out positive vibrations for this energy to manifest in the form of opportunities, achievements, or even inner peace. Gratitude is that vibration. When you express gratitude, it's not only for something you have already received, but also creates a magnetic energy that attracts more reasons to be grateful. It seems simple, yet gratitude profoundly impacts how our mind and body function. When you are grateful, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin, the substances that make us feel good, tuning us into a higher state of mind. This state, in turn, attracts more good into our lives. You begin to view situations, even challenging ones, in a new light. Instead of focusing on what is missing or what did not work, you start to recognize the small victories, the moments of joy, the lessons embedded within challenges. But here's the secret. Gratitude is not only about what has already happened, but also about anticipating the good yet to come. When you practice gratitude with an open heart, you're not just celebrating what you already possess, but also signaling to the universe that you are ready to receive even more. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Remember, nothing happens to you, everything happens for you." With this mindset, you begin to align yourself with your desires, creating an attraction field that manifests your wishes. Gratitude does not replace action. Rather, it strengthens your intentions and enhances your ability to create positively. Now, think of something important to you, a dream, a goal, a deep desire. If you start to be grateful for it as if it had already materialized, you are not just passively waiting for it to happen, you are activating a creation energy. You are telling your subconscious and the universe that you believe it is possible, that you deserve it, and you are already grateful for its achievement. The most powerful aspect of gratitude is how it opens you to opportunities that can help manifest your desires because you are emitting the right energy. Gratitude is the key that unlocks your power of manifestation. Instead of lamenting what you don't have, be grateful for what you do have. Your life, your family, the food you ate today, your relationships. Gratitude is not just a reaction to the good in your life, but a proactive way of creating the future you desire. With each expression of thanks, you are telling the universe that you are ready for more. When you start practicing this daily, in all situations, big or small, your life begins to reflect this abundance. Remember, true gratitude stems from sincerity, not from an attempt to manipulate reality. It's not about pretending everything is perfect, but about recognizing that even in difficult times, there is something to be thankful for. This attitude attracts precisely what you need most. Reflection 5. Visualize to create. Have you ever closed your eyes and imagined your life exactly as you've always wanted it? Perhaps you envision a successful career, a life filled with peace, true love, or even a place that feels like home. This exercise, simple as it may seem, holds immense power. Visualization is not just a mental diversion, it's a tool for creation. When you visualize, you're not merely daydreaming, you're actively projecting your desired reality. The mind, particularly the part responsible for imagination, cannot differentiate between what is real and what is vividly imagined. When you create detailed images, you experience emotions as if your desires are already materializing. You begin to forge a mental pathway, bridging the gap between current reality and potential future. Think with me. How often have you visualized something only to feel doubt, as if your mind were telling you, "This is impossible for me"? If so, the issue may not be with visualization itself, but with how you connect to it. Visualization is more than a mental exercise. It's a challenge that demands confidence. When you envision something in your mind and feel it as an undeniable truth, you generate a powerful energy that begins to attract your desires. Marcus Aurelius once said that what lies before us is merely a reflection of what lies within us. Visualization is a dialogue between you and the universe. Each time you see yourself achieving your goals, your brain starts to pave the way for these achievements. Every detail you imagine becomes a tangible possibility. The critical question is, do you believe in what you are visualizing? If you truly believe that your vision is attainable, then you are taking the initial unconscious steps towards making that reality manifest. I know it can be difficult at first. Life conditions us to doubt and question the seemingly unachievable. But here's a technique. Visualize intensely. Close your eyes and see the scene as if it were already real. Imagine the colors, the sounds, the sensations of what you are creating. Feel the emotion of having already achieved what you desire. This is the moment to align your mind and your heart with your aspirations. It's not just about thinking, it's about feeling. However, visualization doesn't stop with imagination. It serves as a daily reminder of what you aim to create and what you are capable of achieving. When you visualize, you are signaling to your subconscious that this is your path and that you are committed to reaching it. By maintaining this clear vision, you begin to notice the opportunities, people, and circumstances around you that align with what you visualized. Reflection 6. The art of letting go to attract. Have you ever noticed how life often teaches us to hold on tightly to things, people, results, objects, even ideas, as if happiness were only possible if we maintain control over everything? However, there is a hidden art in this process, an art that is counterintuitive, but that has the power to profoundly transform our lives. The art of letting go. Letting go does not mean giving up. It is not about abandoning your dreams or goals, nor is it about losing something valuable. Letting go is actually about creating space for something new to enter your life, so that the universe can bring what is truly necessary for your growth. When you hold on to something too tightly, you prevent other things from flowing to you, blocking the new opportunities that are waiting to be received. Have you considered this? Often, the resistance to letting go stems from fear of losing, fear of uncertainty, fear that if we let go of what we have, we won't find something better. But the truth is, by keeping our hands so closed, we are literally closing the doors to what could be even greater. Seneca said, "Rushing is the fastest path to frustration. Enjoy the moment and go at your own pace." The process of letting go is actually an act of trust. It's trusting that what is in your life today has a purpose, but also trusting that new things, new people, and new experiences are coming at exactly the right time. Consider a simple example like a relationship or friendship that no longer aligns with who you have become. Keeping that person in your life out of pure habit or fear of being alone may be preventing you from finding other, more meaningful and enriching connections. Sometimes, what you most need is to make room for new relationships to blossom so that you can grow in other directions. When you let go, you free yourself from what no longer serves you, and you create a void that will be filled by something much more aligned with who you are today. Letting go also involves accepting that we have no control over many things. It can be scary because the ego likes to be in charge, but by accepting that there are things outside of our control, such as the behavior of others, the future, or certain outcomes, we can find inner peace. When you let go, you stop fighting the natural flow of life. You begin to realize that there are greater forces working in your favor, even if you don't always understand them at the time. This challenging art of letting go is one of the most powerful ways to attract what you really need. By letting go, you make room for abundance. You free your mind from worries and limitations, allowing new flows of energy, new ideas, and new possibilities to enter. Reflection 7. Trust in time. It is the key. You know that moment when you feel like everything is taking too long. The clock seems to crawl, things don't happen as expected, and anxiety starts to creep in. I know it's hard to trust in time, especially when we're immersed in the rush of everyday life, when we desire quick results, immediate answers, and everything seems to hinge on an instant. But what if I told you that, contrary to what many of us believe, time is not our enemy, it's our ally. Time possesses a wisdom that transcends our immediate understanding. It does not rush, it flows. This fluidity allows us to learn, grow, and most importantly, mature. When we stop trying to force events, demanding that everything happen now, we begin to appreciate how time prepares us. It gives us space to reflect, to adjust our vision, and often to steer away from a path that was not right for us, all part of a larger process. Epictetus once said, "Time is a property that we cannot recover." Do not waste time worrying about what cannot be controlled. Live and trust in time. Imagine you planted a tree. You want it to grow quickly, right? The temptation might be to pull at the plant, urging it to grow faster, but that won't work. Time is essential. It allows the roots to take hold, the trunk to become strong, and the branches to flourish in the healthiest way possible. In the same way, our lives and our goals require time. If we try to speed up the process, we run the risk of compromising the outcome. Time gives us the chance to build a solid foundation so that what we are creating can sustain itself and grow robustly. I know it can be hard to be patient. It can be frustrating to watch things unfold slowly, especially when it seems like others around you are advancing quickly. But remember, you can't see what's going on behind the scenes in everyone's life. Everyone's timing is unique, and each journey is different. What matters is not how much time you spend on something, but how you use it. Time gives us the space to become wiser, stronger, and more prepared for what awaits us. Here's a deep reflection about your relationship with time. Sometimes, we feel tempted to force life to adhere to a rhythm we define, thinking we can control everything. But isn't time asking us to trust its natural flow? What happens when, instead of racing against time, you simply let it flow, allowing it to work its magic? I know waiting can be one of the hardest parts. It feels like time is working against you when results don't appear as expected. Anxiety, despair, and a sense of losing control can take over. But if you pause and reflect, you may discover that time is not the villain in your story. It is actually a great ally in the transformation process. Reflection 8. Silence and the connection with your inner self. Have you ever stopped to consider the power of silence? In our noisy world filled with distractions, it's easy to lose ourselves in the rush of daily life. But what if silence was the key to finding the peace and clarity you seek? Silence is not just an absence of sound. It possesses the power to connect us with something much deeper, our inner self. We often operate on autopilot, going through motions without truly listening to what our mind, body, and soul are trying to communicate. Caught in a relentless stream of information, external demands and expectations, we unwittingly disconnect from our true selves, our deepest desires, and our real purposes. Marcus Aurelius observed that silence is a form of control. Those who can maintain inner peace amidst chaos are truly at peace with themselves. When we allow ourselves moments of silence, we encounter something magical. Silence gives us a chance to breathe deeply and look inward. Without haste, without judgment, and without the pressures of the external world, we can truly hear our inner voice, often drowned out by life's constant noise. When we cease seeking external answers and start listening to our hearts, we discover that we possess everything necessary for growth, for making decisions that resonate with our true selves, and for finding peace. Silence is more than just a pause. It's an invitation to introspection, which is vital for self-knowledge. It's only when we genuinely stop that we can ask ourselves powerful questions. What do I truly want? How do I feel about this? What are my fears and insecurities? Silence provides the space to engage with these questions, not under the duress of needing immediate answers, but with the courage to explore the depths of our souls. Yet silence is not comfortable for everyone. When accustomed to constant noise, silence can be intimidating. It can be challenging to face our own minds without the usual distractions. We may experience discomfort, restlessness, and even anxiety, but this is natural. Silence often confronts us with the buried feelings and thoughts we avoid. However, it's within this confrontation that transformation occurs. Silence enables us to process these feelings, clear our minds, and discern what truly matters. Imagine a river. When turbulent and swift, it's impossible to see the bottom. But when it calms, the waters clear and the depths become visible. Silence is like this moment of calm in the river of our minds, allowing us to see into our deepest layers, understand our true needs, and reconnect with our essence. Sometimes we need a moment of silence to assess our lives, to feel if we're on the right path or if adjustments are needed. Silence can remind us to pause and reflect before making significant decisions or even before taking a new step. In our haste, we often neglect our mental and emotional health, but silence brings us back to ourselves, reminding us of our humanity and our need to stop and recharge. Reflection 9. The power of breathing and relaxing. Have you ever noticed how, when life gets hectic, the first thing we lose is our breath? Often, without even realizing it, we start breathing in a shallow, accelerated way, as if we're constantly racing against time. The weight of worries, anxiety, and stress accumulates, and we become so immersed in these feelings that we forget the simplest and most powerful tool we possess: the power of breathing. Breathing is something we do all the time, yet we rarely pause to truly feel it. When you breathe consciously, each breath becomes an opportunity to bring calm, restore your energy, and return to the present. Breathing is a gesture of life, and what many don't realize is that how we breathe can transform our emotional state, changing how we feel and react to the world around us. Have you ever tried just stopping for a moment to focus on your breathing? It's a simple but incredibly powerful practice. When you allow yourself to pause and pay attention to your breath, you begin to notice changes in your body. Your heart rate slows, your muscles relax, and your mind, which was previously overwhelmed, starts to clear. Breathing is like a key that opens the door to a profound sense of relaxation and inner peace. Zeno once said, "Inner peace is found when you accept life as it is, without resistance." Interestingly, we don't need a perfect environment or complex techniques to harness the power of breathing. It's about focus. Breathe deeply, hold for a moment, and then release the air slowly. When you do this consciously, you begin to notice how your body starts to relax, how tension diminishes, and how thoughts begin to distance themselves. Each breath becomes an anchor that brings you back to the present. What happens when we can relax in this way? The body recovers, the mind gains clarity, and emotions begin to stabilize. Stress, that constant enemy, loses some of its strength. Deep breathing helps us to shift out of the fight or flight mode and into a state of rest and digestion, where we can heal and restore our energy. This change may not be visible to others, but something profound happens inside us. Breathing becomes a powerful tool for self-care and self-understanding. And that's not all. Breathing also has the power to connect us with our bodies in a more intimate way. We are often so distracted by external demands that we forget our bodies are trying to communicate with us. Conscious breathing helps us to hear these silent messages, to identify where we are tensing up, where we are tired, and where we need more attention. Breathing reminds us that we are alive, that we deserve moments of rest, and that we can indeed find relaxation. When was the last time you gave yourself permission to simply relax, to stop for a moment and breathe deeply, unhurriedly, without the need to be in constant motion? The power of breathing is not just in the act of breathing itself, but in allowing ourselves to stop and pay attention to our bodies, our minds, and our well-being. Each breath is a chance to reconnect, to restore, and to remember that calm is not outside of us, but within, waiting to be discovered. Reflection 10. Peace and Progress. The Stoic Path to Achieving Your Goals. Have you ever considered how progress and peace can coexist? Often we believe that achieving our goals requires relentless pressure and immense effort, as if the only way forward is through force and agitation. But what if I told you that true progress could be achieved with calm discipline and a deep sense of inner peace? The Stoic path teaches us exactly this: how to reach our goals in a serene, balanced, and conscious manner. Stoicism, a practical philosophy, guides us to embody virtues such as wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. It shows that true progress isn't about chasing rapid or hectic results. Instead, it's about understanding what truly matters and acting in accordance with what is within our control, while serenely accepting what we cannot change. When we discuss peace, we aren't referring to a superficial tranquility or a passive state. What the Stoics teach us is that inner peace comes from living in accordance with nature, with truth, and with what is under our control. By accepting that we cannot control everything and that events don't always unfold as we wish, we can set aside anxiety and frustration. This creates space for genuine tranquility, which becomes the foundation of any real and sustainable progress. How does this apply to our journey towards goals? Instead of being consumed by the pressure to achieve something at any cost, true progress comes from the daily practice of consistent effort and self-control. Stoicism encourages us to focus on the process, not merely the immediate result. As we adopt this mindset, pressure diminishes and peace arises, because we realize that the only thing we truly control is our present moment. Each small action and achievement becomes part of a deeper, more meaningful journey toward our goals. Imagine you are trying to learn a new skill or reach a new level in your life. Real progress isn't about comparing yourself to others or measuring success by external standards, but about evaluating your own journey, how much you've grown in your discipline, and what you've learned about yourself along the way. Stoicism reminds us that while we cannot control immediate outcomes, we can control our attitudes and responses to challenges. Here lies a crucial aspect of the Stoic path: acceptance. When we accept difficulties as natural parts of the process, they no longer appear as insurmountable obstacles, but become opportunities for learning. By embracing challenges with a calm mindset, without anxiety about the future, you foster a state of peace that doesn't rely on external circumstances. This peace, in turn, enables you to focus on what truly matters: your personal evolution and continuous progress. Remember, true peace isn't achieved when all our goals are met. Rather, it is something we cultivate along the way. It isn't the absence of difficulties, but the ability to confront challenges with a composed and controlled mind. By integrating this inner peace into your approach, you release anxiety and frustration, thereby creating space for real progress. Reflection 11. Less pressure, more success. Have you ever felt that the harder you try to achieve your goals, the more difficult it seems to become? The pressure, anxiety, and weight of expectations seem to build up, dragging us to a place of stagnation instead of propelling us forward. Over time, many of us learn that an obsession with immediate success can actually be a trap, and importantly, that less pressure often leads to more success. This may sound contradictory, but a shift in perspective can profoundly transform how we achieve our goals. When we discuss pressure, it's not just about the external expectations imposed by others, it's also about the internal pressure, that inner voice incessantly telling us that we need to do more, be better, and not stop until we achieve our goals. This voice, though seemingly motivational, often creates a barrier to our progress. It pushes us into a relentless race against time for immediate results, as if our happiness hinges on meeting increasingly tight deadlines. Now, imagine for a moment what happens if you release this pressure. I'm not suggesting abandoning your goals or losing focus, but rather taking a pause to rethink your approach to pursuing your dreams. What happens when you slow down, allow yourself to enjoy the process and not just the end results, and trust that you're on the right path without needing to control every detail? The answer is simple. You create the mental and emotional space necessary to operate more efficiently. Pressure often fosters an environment filled with fear and apathy, where ideas stagnate and plans turn into obstacles. However, when you lessen this pressure, what once felt like a heavy burden transforms into lightness, and the process flows more naturally. You begin to operate with greater clarity, focus, and most importantly, confidence. You may even find that by allowing yourself some relaxation, you become more creative and develop innovative solutions to challenges. It seems counterintuitive, especially in a society that constantly tells us to keep running, stay busy, and work tirelessly. But what if the real key to success is to stop running and start flowing? By allowing yourself to breathe, you not only recover energy, but also find the internal motivation needed to advance. It's crucial to understand that success is not a straight line. Often, the path is filled with detours, pauses, and moments of introspection. Constant pressure blinds us to this reality, preventing us from seeing that true progress is built through small, calmly made decisions and patience with the process. When we act lightly, without the need to control everything, we create space for what truly matters: our personal growth, adaptation to the unexpected, and eventually, the realization of our dreams. Consider how you feel under intense pressure, stressed, with clouded thoughts and impulsive, often poor decisions. Now, imagine adopting a calmer approach. Focus on what you can do today, within your reach, bringing a sense of control and peace. You realize that you can act without needing to be perfect or to achieve everything at once. Each step then becomes a meaningful advance, and the pressure begins to dissipate. Thank you for joining us at Stoic Journal. For more insights, please watch one of the suggested videos on your screen. Continue your journey with us and cultivate your path to serene success.